Welcome to the channel. Welcome to Kingsrift. And for my Spanish friends who helped me out this week, de nada and gracias. I'll tell you about this at the end of the video, but I do have a bit of a result, and it might not be the 100% result at the end of the year, but I think it's about 95%, thanks to some Spanish friends of mine who had a bit of a search around for me. They've come up trumps with something. Thank you very much. We might be going on a trip in the summer. Anyway, today, the big thing which someone asked me, and they asked me on the Facebook, and a couple of comments, they said about the veneering, and I said I'm not going to do any more veneering, but I am going to do one, and I'm going to do one today, and it's a big one. It's the biggest one on the boat, and the reason I'm going to do it is because the person said you're okay doing the small panels, but you'll never do it on a large panel, not without a vacuum and not without you know, presses and stuff. And people have been doing veneers on boats for donkey's years, and a boat is a boat. You can't just get a vacuum and vacuum a wall and stuff. So what we're going to do today is going to be on the bench, but it's a big panel, 7 foot by about 3, yeah, I'd say 7, or no, just over 3, I'd say 7 foot by about just over 3 foot, it's coming up to 4 foot. It's a big panel, there'll be a couple of joins in it as well going along somewhere, bound to be. But I'll show you how to do it with these. Domestic iron, a knife, there is a pair of scissors in use somewhere, a bit of masking tape, some 502 wood adhesive, and a roller. It's something I should use more often. 502 wood glue with a roller, very thin. We've got to do this one, and we do, we do the back of the veneer itself, which has been cut. I'll have to do a little bit of odd cuts here, but basically it's a really thin coat going on. Picking up any excess, move it. Got a bit too much excess on there actually. And we're going to let it go. We don't have a vacuum for this obviously, so we've got to rely on an iron to do this. It's a big panel. Try not to get too much excess in any one place, so we end up rolling a few times over. I've got a bit of tape here. This is because there's going to be a cut, and basically I don't want to glue that bit. I'm going to cut the other pieces in small. It's near the door frame, so I don't even think we're going to see them cuts, but there'll be a trim go down the side, but we'll do the whole thing anyway and get it even. Just keep tacking it up a little bit as you go. It's actually tacking up now. Okay. Next one. Really clean floor. I think what's really important when you do this is to make sure you've got a really even coat, and especially on the edges, because if you get a bit of rising, which we will, you'll be able to cure it with an iron. As long as you've had glue there in the first place. If you've got no glue, you won't be able to use an iron to force any rises down, and you will get rises. When you put a stain or a varnish on or something, it will pop up a little bit, and that's where a vacuum comes in handy, because that kind of prevents that, but we don't have that option. But we do have an iron. We give it about 10 minutes, so it goes to a tacky type feel. Not so it's wet, but just slightly tacky. Enough to move it around on the board a little bit. You don't get the option with the when you use the 2-pack, or not even 2-pack, I'd say contact adhesive. Contact adhesive on the larger panels, I tend to almost let it go off completely and then use the iron. Just use a cheap old iron. This is a T-foul, 20 pound. This has had some serious abuse, hasn't it? I mean, it's warming up a bit now. But I don't use anything, steam irons. I don't think they're a good thing to use with this. I don't like the steam, the fact that you can do it. Don't use the household iron. whether you, I don't know, what your partner will kill you, because once you go across the wood, it is wood, that kills the iron. I mean, it's only good for wood. I mean, you might get away buying a pair of socks with that, but that's about it, you know. And to be honest, I find this one a little bit light, the heavier the better. But this gets up to a reasonable temperature. So, right, we're still waiting. This is still a little bit too wet. It needs to go to the point where you're just, literally it's drying, just starting to dry. Then you can position your veneer and start your working out with your iron or with your hot plate or whatever you do using. I'm doing this, I haven't even got it turned on. Just have it. Oh, that's hot, that's hot. Turn it on in a minute. The other one is sitting down there doing exactly the same, and you can just see by the whiteness how wet the glue still is. It goes to a yellow and then almost to a clear. Okay, the other one's not too far off done. This one now is just, you're not getting any glue on your fingers by touching it. So I'd say that's probably whereabouts I go now. I'm no pro at this. This is just what I've learned through other times of doing it and by making mistakes. That now is going to a yellowy. So I think we're about ready to bomb it on, flatten it, and then we just let, again, it's just going to be a case of seeing how it goes, get the iron out, and we just slowly work through the entire board. Not the ideal working place. Boats aren't the ideal working place. I'm just going to lie it down. It's not completely gone to full tack, which is why I've chosen to do it now, because I can just position it as best I can. I've used this tape here because this is where the cuts will be, so if I can get myself in around that position, don't let it grip. And then I've got a rim at the top. I'm over the edges, which is fine. This is looking okay. There's a little split here. This stuff splits very easy. So before I push that down, I'm just going to literally use my fingers. Shouldn't do really. I'm just going to put a bit of wood glue on there. So when that goes on there and I press it down, it's going to start drawing itself up. No sophistication here. Literally, I'm just dabbing a bit along the edge. That will do. Remember, wood glue, you can sand it. Okay. I'm going to use the iron almost immediately on this. Now, just start moving my way outwards. This is the start of about half an hour. So I'm just going to literally start pushing into the edges, holding the iron flat, and push it outwards. It's a big panel. It's looking very nice at the moment, so you will find a little bit of steam coming off. Quite often when you have veneers like I have here installed on the boat, they get a bit of damp in them already, and they will suck in water. So when you go across with the iron, you'll see that start dispersing. And I've got about a half an hour doing this now. What I'm starting to do now is, because the iron's getting hotter, I'm just making sure that I'm not overdoing the heat, which I'm not. But you can see now, look, that's now, you can almost pick that up. That's starting to bottom. Yeah. I suppose if you were doing laundry or something, you'd be good at this, wouldn't you? I had the split, so we're just gonna give that a little bit more. You won't see that. Now, there's a little trick. If you get tiny little gaps where you get round to this, I tend to use a little bit of wood glue, if you like that there. Look at that, it's lovely. You get little gaps like that. Get your sander. This is real wood. sand over it. And what happens is the sawdust fills the gap, and then comes part of the glue. Look at that. You don't know it's there again. Right, I'll do the whole lot and we can come back to it. But we're getting there. That's coming down. It's lovely. And you can see the dusty iron. Look at that. Now, don't know what, you know, wife, boyfriend, husband, whatever your orientations are, they're not going to be happy with you doing that to their iron. So buy a cheap iron. You know, if you do this, buy a cheap one. And boy, do these irons come in handy on a boat as well. They really, as a fantastic tool. Domestic iron. That's how easy it is. But don't go doing a great big panel like this to start with. Practice a little bit first. And depending what you're doing, sometimes you have to use a contact adhesive. Like I say, let that dry a bit more before you do a panel like this, because once you put that panel on, boom, it's done. You get it when it's too tacky, when you can put your fingers on and you can lift it and it's coming up, and you've got it on two sides, bang, you'll put that on and that's just going to grip. That's just another way contact adhesive work, you know. And but with this, you want to activate the contact adhesive. Think about it that way. You're putting it on so it's slightly dry, so you can move it around a little bit, and then use your iron to reactivate it, or whatever you're using. You can use what I've used, a heat gun before, but be very careful. I've even used a hairdryer in really awkward places where you don't want too much heat. If you use a heat gun, say like in a corner here, it can generate too much heat in that point and you end up burning. But a hairdryer won't do that, you know. It will give you a heat. It takes longer. Again, don't go buy one. Don't go nick your partner's hairdryer. I've got all these tickets, you know. I know these things. I'm full of knowledge of stuff like that. Trying to create an absolutely straight edge here, rather than just cut through. I'm just going to try a different method. I've just put the steel rule on with the clamps, and I'm just going to cut down the edge of that rule. It's on. This stuff you can just sand as normal. Even the edges, if you go down the edges, I'm not going to do this on every panel, by the way. I'm only going to do it on this one, because you're going to see I'll be forever doing this. I reckon there's going to be a week of just doing this, so we can put that week into 30 minutes, so don't worry. Just do the edges just like normal wood, because that's what it is. It's normal wood. It is wood on a roll, this stuff. My whole world at this start of a project just evolves around dust. When it comes down to putting the top coats of varnishes on, it's a bloody nightmare, because it takes forever to get rid of the dust. But once the top coats are on, it doesn't matter, because they get as dusty as they want, as long as they don't get damaged. It's only dust. It's only dust. We've got a nice feel to it. So this is going to be the fun bit. We've got the slots to go into the 18mm, which is just here. It should just straight back in, like before. We just work a couple of screws in it just to hold it into place, because there'll be another piece to go on here, And a sliding hatch, you know, we're not a mile away from the sliding hatch, you know. And we're in. What do you think? Did you notice how I used one glove and that glove didn't actually do any work? The hand did. The other hatch glove is here. Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy. Good. Right. Move on. Trying to keep the sun out the camera. But yeah, it's come out okay. So now we're looking at both these sections done. And looking around, this part of the boat is looking quite good. Now before anybody says it, if you look at this panel, this is actually the largest panel on the boat, not the one I've done. But this one isn't fully veneered, because down the bottom here, it will basically have this sort of stuff, which is a exterior, basically it's an exterior paint, just to give it some protection. And this is the underside of the battery compartment. So I'll use it on everything what's not really going to be seen, because it just gives you that extra protection. So here, only 3/4 of this board will be veneered. Well, we done another big veneer, okay, so I don't want to keep doing veneers. I thought I'm going to do this because I've been asked a lot of questions about it, and yeah, well, that's how I do them. Very, very simple. It's all technique, 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 technique. As for the comment I made at the beginning of the video, now I have been jarred off looking for some engines and stuff. I'm just trying to get something in the bag. I can't put them in yet, but it'd be lovely to have them. And I've had no success really, a lot of messing about. But my friend in Spain, where I worked for a little while, has come up with two real possibilities. Two engines that are coming out of a boat in October, November this year, I do believe. They're 4-litre engines with gearboxes, and they will go in this boat. I'm not going to go too much into detail of the engines yet because I need to confirm a lot of stuff. But basically, I've got First Shout. He does engine rebuilds and refits, so that's his business. And he said, if you don't find nothing in the UK, there's two here. Obviously, it could mean a trip for up to Spain. We're going to have a look at these at some point, but why not? Why not? Anyway, moving on. Next time we're in the aft, battery cabin, I should say, service area. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. If you've got any comments, send me a comment. And yeah, being part of the team, I appreciate every one of you. And please take care of yourselves. And I'll see you Sundays.